Good afternoon, Chair Brownsie and Commissioners. My name is Adriana Guerrero, and I'm the Executive Director of Brown Girl Surf, an organization based in Lisjan Territory, aka Oakland. Our mission is to shift surf and beach culture and dismantle barriers to coastal access that are rooted in systems of colonialism and racial discrimination. As ED, one would think that my biggest worries would include fundraising, summer camp transportation, and maybe even rogue shark attacks. My reality, unfortunately, is starkly different. I have to worry about violence, both physical and verbal, against our community during programs because it has happened. I worry that we'll be greeted by unwelcoming faces in the parking lot or that someone will get mansplained while in the lineup. I worry that our tires will get slashed, volunteers' leashes will get pulled, and a youth will be subject to racist and/or sexist remarks being shouted at them in the water. And on top of that, for the last 18 years, we've had an entire city's permitting system explicitly exclude us. Now do you understand why I feel the way we do? Not only does my community deserve and have the right to access the coast, but we have a right to be joyful and safe while doing it. Many of us find freedom, joy, and healing near the ocean and while surfing. The smell of the salty air alone calms my nervous system. I want to ask you to think about the last time you were at the beach. What did you feel? We have been working with countless allies to reform Pacifica's exclusionary surf permitting system for years in order to provide access to that same feeling for our community. We are beyond grateful for this collaboration and partnership with the Commission and the city, and we strongly believe it can be a model for change across California. I'm urging you today to vote yes on the new, more equitable system for beach permitting with incorporation of all staff conditions. I also urge the Commission to go one step further and think about the other systemic barriers to coastal access that we can dismantle. Dedicated parking spaces for nonprofit vehicles, for example, would go a long way to reduce the burden on our staff and volunteers. So which side of history do you choose to be on today and for generations to come? Our planet is dying and humans are fighting over ways to protect it. What are we protecting if we can't enjoy it together? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Kimberly Williams.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Chair Brownsie and Commissioners. I'm Kimberly Williams, and I represent the San Mateo County chapter of Surfrider. We fully support the Coastal Commission staff's recommendations for this CDP, including all of the recommended conditions. As you've heard, unfortunately, the permit system submitted by City of Pacifica falls short of the goal to ensure that our beaches in Pacifica are accessible to everyone, and that the opportunities for learning and enjoyment they provide are also accessible. I was part of the task force that was convened to provide input to create the CAP permit, and that process embodies the problem that is so challenging to overcome: systemic barriers that are built into our culture and our processes. While the task force came together in good faith to create a better solution, the groups that this process aimed to help were constrained by feeling like they had to make concessions in order to get their foot in the door. And this weakened the outcome. That is why the conditions recommended by the Coastal Commission staff are so important. They level the playing field for nonprofit and commercial schools. The Coastal Commission's role in ensuring environmental justice is critical to this kind of initiative. I want to thank Brown Girls Surf and City Surf Project for continuing to push to get to where we need to go. And I also want to thank Cliff Hodges of Adventure Out, because Cliff has demonstrated courage as a leader in this process, even though there was fear that these changes might negatively impact his business. Approval of the CDP with all special conditions recommended by Commission staff will create a more level playing field for nonprofit and commercial schools by extending the time that permits are valid and reducing fees for nonprofit organizations focused on facilitating access to the coast for underserved communities. It will decrease administrative and logistical barriers for nonprofits, and more importantly, will foster a more equitable beach culture by requiring all surf school or camp operators to agree and adhere to shared community surf agreement principles. Therefore, I ask the commissioners to approve the CDP with all of the Coastal Commission staff's recommendations to ensure everyone has access to the recreational opportunities and the beauty our beaches provide. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Sonia Diaz, followed by Jamie Cosson, followed by C. Abbott. Sonia Diaz.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Sonia Diaz with Outdoor Outreach. We're a San Diego-based nonprofit connecting our underrepresented youth to the healing power of our coast and beaches. Today, we support the approval of this CDP with all staff recommended special conditions that fully incorporate equity. Nonprofits are trusted bridges to build a safe environment for someone who's had little exposure to the beach and often confronts racism and unwelcoming stares from local visitors. Imposing additional barriers to access through exclusionary permitting practices only perpetuates the toxic localism and racism that the Coastal Act is intended to prevent. Outdoor Outreach has also provided input to commission staff over the years on our own local struggles with permitting. For example, in San Diego, there exists a patchwork of permit processes across different land managers. It creates a system that favors commercial for-profit entities over nonprofits like ours. For example, some of the permits have blackout dates on certain days of the week, especially on busy summer weekends, while for-profit schools, they don't face those barriers. This really impacts the quality of our programs and the ability to bring more of our youth to enjoy the benefits of our coast. Under this new proposal in Pacifica, if approved with all staff proposed special conditions, it would create a new model that maximizes public access. We hope our action today will be the first step as part of a larger statewide effort to recognize and act on these inequities that we're experiencing across jurisdictions to uphold and ultimately uphold the Coastal Act and what it was originally intended for. We urge your yes vote today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Jamie Coulson.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to share today. My name's Jamie, and I'm the Executive Director of our YMCA of San Diego County overnight camps. And we do have a camp down near Imperial Beach, and we're watching this really close because we feel like this will set a new precedent. So we're fully in favor of this recommendation today. Our camp near Imperial Beach has faced a lot of challenges recently around ocean pollution. So we've been looking to go to other beaches, but we've found the permitting to be very restrictive. And in some cases, we're not allowed to go there at all. Our paramount to what we do is inclusion, providing access for all children to attend our programs, especially on the ocean front. So we urge you to vote yes for this. It's very important, and we hope it sets a precedent to what happens there and also into San Diego County. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be C. Abbott, followed by Troy Bohannon, and then Johnny Irwin. C. Abbott.
I'm Cindy Abbott, and though I'm a member of the City of Pacifica Parks, Beaches, and Recreation Commission and was part of the Surf Camp Task Force, I'm speaking for myself this afternoon. I'm also requesting your support for the proposal in the staff report, recognizing that this has been a long process and with an intense desire to move forward together to ensure we achieve the shared goal of equitable surf access at Pacifica State Beach, Lindemar. The ability to review the program annually, as this is indeed a new and hopefully expanded program going forward throughout the state, and to make recommendations as detailed in the adaptive management section of the staff report for the program to operate more effectively and efficiently and better protect coastal resources is a very important part of this permit. A particular concern is the doubling of the number of surf camp participants on one day, increased from approximately 100 to 200, and an expanded area that camps can operate in from the south end of the beach, the known safest part of the surf break, to almost the entirety of the beach. Pacifica State Beach can already be very overcrowded. These changes could therefore be at odds with the overall goal of the California Coastal Commission to provide access to the coast for all who want to enjoy the beach and ocean, not only those learning how to surf, and to create potential risk by expanding to an area of rougher surf and closer to a protected snowy plover habitat area. So I look forward to having this be approved today, but again, to continue to review this and refine this to make sure that it makes sense for coastal access for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next will be Troy Bohannon.
Thank you for the time today, guys. My name is Troy. I'm with City Surf Project and one of the surf instructors there. I'm speaking today in support of the policy becoming more equitable for all, especially the nonprofit community-based organizations. I view this in a manner benefiting more than just the youth that we serve, but even the community members that just are your general beachgoers. I've witnessed this firsthand through days at the beach, providing more of a neutral ground for classes of people and just different backgrounds to interact in a space that everybody seems to enjoy, being at the beach and being in the water. The community-based organizations before you today help deconstruct these socioeconomic barriers, and there don't need to be more challenges before us to help bring communities together through the things we love, being at the beach. I also see this as a means for pushing the generations to come in a better direction and leading us to a place where the beach can be a prime example of the melting pot that this country like aspires to be. And the youth are tomorrow and like our leaders of tomorrow, and they should be able to be at the beach just as much as anyone else, regardless of their monetary backgrounds, their personal racial backgrounds. And there's nothing like breaking down barriers in a lineup and sharing waves with people that don't look like you or may not be from the same neighborhoods or zip codes as you. I personally believe surfing is for everyone, and the beaches should be for everyone as well. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Johnny Irwin, followed by our last speaker, Olivia Van Dam. Johnny Irwin.
Hello, my name is Johnny Irwin. I am the Executive Director of City Surf Project from San Francisco. We are a youth development organization that uses surfing as a vehicle to help youth form a connection to nature and build life skills. We target youth that would not normally get the opportunity to go surfing or who have not traditionally had access to the coastline and the surf. I would like to first off say a huge thank you to the commission and the staffers that created these recommendations, also to the city of Pacifica that have been working hard towards these recommendations and changing the surf camp policy. I strongly encourage the commissioners to adopt the recommendations for the new surf camp policy in Pacifica at Lindemar Beach. For the past 6 years, our program has been working towards getting a legitimate permit at Lindemar Beach in Pacifica. And this surf camp policy, if the recommendations are passed and enacted, this would bring us one giant step closer to gaining that legitimate permit and having our youth having legitimacy in the lineup at Pacifica. We have been working with the city of Pacifica for the past 3 years on a task force to create an equitable surf camp policy that gives equal permitting to commercial and nonprofit entities. And these recommendations go further and exemplify that dollars are not more important than people. It also paves the way for justice to those who have historically not been able to access Lindemar Beach for the past some odd years. With the passage of this new policy, there will be other community nonprofit surfing groups besides ours. And with their community members, they will finally be able to come and enjoy the beach, which is their right. Many of these groups are also bringing youth that live just a few miles away from the beach and have not been able to access Pacifica because they don't have a permit. Finally, these recommendations will be setting us an important precedent for other municipalities along the coast to adapt an equitable surf camp policy. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Olivia Van Dam.
Hello, I'm Olivia Van Dam, she, her, calling from Rameh-Tuchelone land in San Francisco. I'm currently an advisory board member for the Explore the Coast grant program at the State Coastal Conservancy, and I work for the Center for Biodiversity and Community Science and help co-found the Indigenous Solidarity Committee at California Academy of Sciences. I've been previously involved as an employee and volunteer in several surfing nonprofits that have spoken today, and I've worked directly on this issue since 2018. I'd like to fully share my support for the CDP application for Pacifica Surf Schools. And I'd like to thank the commission staff for their hard work in bridging multiple user groups to make this a system that's equitable for all. And while I know that these groups and the Coastal Commission definitely are working towards right relationships with Native communities, I would actually like to share an amendment to the permit that I think needs to be included more explicitly. For both the Explore the Coast grants and the Commission's Whale Tail grants, federally recognized tribes and indigenous communities that are not federally recognized are also eligible for funding. And I want to advocate for Native tribes to be explicitly and named and included as a user group for these access to the CDP permit process, because this is going to set a precedent for other coastal communities in California. Omitting these groups as potential user groups is not in alignment with many incredible coastal policies that are happening and uplifting and building partnerships with Native California tribes and co-management of land, including the Ocean Protection Council's tribal engagement strategy and the Tribal Marine Stewards Network allocation of $3.6 million that will support these groups for their continued access to cultural resources and having these practices in connection with the beach and the ocean for those groups. At Lindemar Beach, there's a 9-foot statue of Gaspar de Portola and his expedition, which marks the, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chris.